Imagine you're on a road trip with friends, having the time of your life. Vacations are the best, right? But then your friend with a small bladder starts doing the I need to pee thens. We've all been there, playfully teasing about frequent pit stops. But what if I told you there's something far worse than these minor interruptions? Yep, holding in your pee for too long is much more dangerous for your health. Although there is no consensus on the time that is considered okay to hold urine, it is best to listen to your body and take the time out to urinate. Now, before your bladder starts to feel the urge upon hearing the word dangerous, let us first dive into the basics about this call of nature and why, sooner or later, we always attend it. Urination, or peeing, happens because of the incredible teamwork between different parts of our urinary system. It all starts in the kidneys, two bean-shaped organs that filter around 50 gallons of blood daily through filtering units called nephrons, which work like little factories, taking out the bad stuff and keeping the good stuff in. The waste, now urine, flows into the bladder through a tube called ureter, one from each kidney. As this muscular bag fills up, it stretches and sends signals to our brain saying, "Hey, it's getting crowded in here." And this sensation is what we recognize as a full bladder and the urge to pee. Now, it all makes sense, doesn't it? The fuller the bladder gets, the stronger these signals become. Thanks to the training received during our toddler days, we can consciously hold this urge, well, at least for a good while, keeping a circular sphincter between the bladder and our urethra tightly closed up until we find a spot and let the sphincter relax. And voila, out comes urine, and with that, a sense of instant relief. Remember how we talked earlier about no real consensus on the time it takes to fill the bladder? Well, this variability stems from individual differences. Oh yeah. Our bladders are unique like fingerprints, each with different capacities and thresholds for signaling fullness. Moreover, we all consume liquids differently. Your friend with a small bladder might choose to drink less just to slow down their bladder filling. Now that we understand the mechanism and individual differences in the urge to pee, it is easier to grasp the first danger of holding it for too long. When you ignore the urge and your bladder keeps filling, it stretches more and more. And over time, this excessive stretching can weaken your bladder muscles. And this can lead to incontinence, a common issue as we age, where the bladder walls can't contract effectively, causing urine to leak. Not only that, a stretched bladder can become so weak that it might not empty at all, requiring the insertion of a catheter. But it's not just the bladder at risk. Our pelvic muscles, which support the bladder, can also weaken, compounding the problem of incontinence. In extremely rare cases, a severely overstretched bladder can even rupture, which is a serious condition requiring surgical intervention. Let us talk about another problem that many of us have encountered or at least heard about it in our daily lives: urinary tract infections, or UTIs. These are incredibly common, and while several risk factors can contribute to their development, holding urine is a big one. Tiny germs or bacteria are naturally present in small numbers in the urinary tract and usually get flushed out without causing any harm. A bladder with held up urine, however, is a perfect hangout spot for these little creatures, which can rapidly multiply and cause an infection. Now, UTIs might sound like no big deal to most people, and often they aren't. A mild infection usually usually clears up quickly with some medication, but here's the kicker. Sometimes UTIs can turn nasty, spreading to the upper urinary tract and causing serious complications. So it's definitely not something to shrug off. Besides being a breeding ground for bacteria, bladders with static urine can also lead to stone formation. Urine stasis allows enough time for the minerals, in particular calcium, to crystallize in the urine and lead to the painful condition of urinary stones. These stones can form anywhere in the urinary tract, and not only are they excruciatingly painful, but they can also cause bleeding, a condition known as hematuria. Imagine seeing blood in your urine. Yikes. The size of the stones determines whether they can pass naturally or if you'll need medical help, like shockwave therapy or even surgery. The saying, prevention is better than the cure, is particularly relevant here. So drink fluids regularly and urinate frequently. Some people may argue that holding urine is a good way to train the bladder to avoid embarrassment in public situations like your friend on the road trip. While this is true to some extent and can increase bladder capacity, the risks of doing so far outweigh this single benefit. Research suggests that such retraining schedules are ideally established by a doctor and are only advised for those with a medical condition of overactive bladder. So the next time you're on a road trip or caught up in a thrilling adventure, remember the importance of listening to your body's signals. We've learned that holding in your pee for too long can lead to weakened bladder muscles, increase the risk of urinary tract infections, and even promote the formation of painful urinary stones. While it might seem like a small inconvenience to stop for a bathroom break, the potential health risks are far from minor. Now, if you've been holding off on that bathroom trip just to finish this video, it's time to go and pee in good fashion. Your bladder will thank you. But maybe it can hold a couple more seconds so you can like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel if you want to continue learning more about the human body. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Now you can go.